Although it can be a bit lost in translation at times, so much of being a loving cat owner is control, responsible and respectful control. And getting your cat to show submission is very important. After all, you own your pet doesn't own you. I think we've all seen what can happen when those roles are reversed, a very unpleasant experience for all involved, to say the very least. In this material, I'll talk about submission and the signs that cats often give to display their submission to you. Interesting topic, and I've got you covered. Stay tuned. Before I begin, as with many videos of this nature, somewhat of a listing nature, I'm going to ask for your engagement. Any blanks that I leave, please fill them in. I'm always eager and anxious for community participation. I certainly don't claim to know it all, and talking about these subjects together, that only adds to reinforce the topics. If your cat shows submission to you, perhaps in a very original and unique way, please let me know in the comments section below. And with that said, I'd like to kick things off today with body language. A lowering of the body, to be exact. Many cats, as a display of submission, will lower themselves, lower their physical stature, decrease their body size. Not cowering in fear, but rather diminishing out of respect, somewhat lowering their importance, let's say. Does your cat almost immediately take on a different physical tone when they see you? Perhaps rolling over to one side, walking and then proceeding to almost fall over right there in front of you? Not all cats do this, but if your cat attempts to make themselves smaller while in your presence, this is a sign of submission. As a human example, have you ever seen someone slump over in a chair, almost sit in their very own lap? This can be done for many reasons, but one of which is to lower importance, to decrease value, when in the presence of someone they deem as more important. Sometimes people will take on this posture when they are lying, slumping over for their own comfort and security. Are you a parent? Have you ever had to lay down the law, perhaps, and take on a stern voice with your child? Well, and if you find your child seated but slumped over, looking at the floor, appearing quite small, children, when they find themselves in trouble, the posture they take is often one of a submissive nature. And moving right along, let's talk about your cat's ears. One of the ways that felines display submission is with a flattened ear posture. Not to be confused with ears pinned back, that's a sign of aggression. The flattened ear posture is one of a relaxed nature, a submissive nature. Word of the day, right? Submissive. If your cat is willingly playing second fiddle to you and doing so out of respect, pay close attention to those ears. They'll appear much more relaxed and less on guard, let's say. Something quite subtle, but very important. The next one up is rolling. I briefly touched on this one when I spoke about diminished physical stature, but rolling can be its very own thing. And more times than not, this form of submission is the most obvious, the most notable. Have you ever approached your cat, or any cat for that matter, and they just started rolling around right there in front of you? Not doing anything in particular, just the act of rolling itself. This is the cat's way of letting you know that they mean you no harm, and that you have the upper hand. Rolling is a way to visually submit to you. In that moment, your cat is giving you the power, reducing themselves right before your eyes. Cats that are eager to stand their ground and flex their own muscle, they'd never roll on over. However, rolling as an act of submission is very common. And it does extend beyond the human relationship. Have you ever seen a cat roll around in front of another cat? This is a way of saying, hey, I submit. I'm not looking for trouble. This is your turf, and I know it. And similar to rolling, what about belly exposure? Cats are always protective of that midsection. If your cat is exposing the belly, this is a sign of trust and a sign of submission. Just another way to physically let you know that, hey, you got the upper hand in this space. I'm exposing my vulnerable side, allowing you to take the lead. And before I continue, I want to note that submission is not the same as affection. We're not talking about purring, rubbing against your arms, rubbing against your legs, jumping on the sofa. This desire to be right there next to you. Those are all signs of affection and love. Submission is different. It's certainly possible for your cat to love you and not submit. It's also possible to submit while not, in that moment, show signs of affection. Just keep that in mind. Submission is really all about power, giving up that power. Cats that submit are content in your presence to give up their power, their position. Another act of submission involves blinking. This comes back to trust. Cats that blink are not fearful, and so much about submitting as letting that guard down. And the final way that cats show submission, the final way that I'll speak about here today, involves allowing you to pick them up. This is a classic case of giving up control. If a cat allows you to pick them up and do so without a fuss, that means that you're in charge. The cat has given you complete control of the car, complete control of the wheel. Here again, affection and submission. They're not the same. On some level, they can be the same, but they certainly don't have to be. If your cat, any cat, has allowed you to pick them up, it really doesn't get much more submissive than this action, the ultimate release of power. So, to the audience of Senior Cat Wellness, this is where I turn things right on over to you. In what ways does your cat display submission? Anything original or unique? Anything perhaps a bit funny? Have you noticed that your cat is submissive to you, but not to the other people within your home? That's always interesting. It's especially interesting to witness. If you have any stories on that front, I'd love to read them. Have you become the alpha of the ownership game, while the others in your home, your cat still gets the very best of them? And perhaps are you searching for ways to get your cat to be submissive? Is your pet just too much of a handful, at least right now? Are you on the outside looking in when it comes to respect? If you'd like me to make a standalone video about respect and how to get your cat to respect you and become submissive, just let me know. I'd be more than happy to produce a video on that very topic. As I stated in the introduction, it doesn't get talked about all that often, but so much about being a loving cat owner and having that mutual bond of love and trust. It's all about control, respectful and responsible control. You are the owner. Your cat lives in your home. You're not sleeping under a tree with your cat. Understanding that dynamic, it's obvious, but it's very important. Here again, submission and control is an often overlooked topic. But when things go south and those places are traded, you've got a mess on your hands. If your cat has the upper hand and has you in submission mode, that's not good, to say the very least. Your thoughts on this topic in the comments section. As always, it's all yours. And if you enjoyed this content, please give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. I'd love to have you as a member of the Senior Cat Wellness family. And until next time, thank you so very much for watching. And as always, I will talk to you later.